Imagine sitting across from a hiring manager. You know, you've got the exact same resume as the candidate who just left the room, but they get the offer and you get the rejection email.
Right. It happens all the time.
Exactly. And why? Because interviews, well, they aren't just a test of your hard skills. They're this high stakes test of your communication.
Yeah. I mean, you could be the most qualified person in the building, but if you can't translate that competence in real time, under pressure, the resume just won't save you.
So true. Well, welcome to today's deep dive into an interview communication script. I'm your host, and our mission today is for you, the listener, to finally crack the code. We want you to move beyond just sweating over generic interview prep and figure out how to communicate to actually turn interviews into job offers.
I'm thrilled to be here to break this down because honestly, it's such a game changer.
Okay, let's unpack this. The absolute biggest trap candidates fall into is simply telling an interviewer what they're good at. Candidate A sits there just claiming to be a problem solver.
Oh yeah, the classic I solve problems line.
Right. It's like handing them a receipt or like a movie trailer that just reads the script instead of showing the action. It's totally unconvincing.
What's fascinating here is the contrast with candidate B. They don't just make a claim, right? They put the interviewer in a flight simulator.
A flight simulator? Wait, how so?
Well, candidate B talks about, say, a supplier backing out 2 weeks before a deadline. They actually describe organizing a logistics war room, sourcing 3 alternative suppliers in 24 hours, and launching on time.
Oh, wow. Okay, so they're painting a really vivid picture.
Exactly. You are forcing their brain to visually experience your competence rather than just, taking your word for it. It's using the STAR method.
Situation, task, action, result, right.
You got it, but not in a robotic way. You ground the answer quickly, setting up the situation and task so you can spend the bulk of your time proving the action you took and the result you got. Prepping 3 of these hero stories gives you a solid anchor for almost any behavioral question.
But let me jump in here, because having a great hero story doesn't matter if panic makes you rush the delivery. And I have to genuinely push back on the sources here about taking a 3 to 5 second pause after a tough question.
Oh, push back how?
Well, when you get hit with a question like, tell me about a time you failed, honestly, a 5-second pause feels like an absolute eternity.
It feels like an eternity, sure.
Yeah, it feels like professional suicide.
Yeah.
If I'm the interviewer, I'm thinking this candidate is totally unprepared or they just completely blanked.
I mean, it feels like professional suicide to you while you're in the hot seat, but the psychology of the room tells a completely different story. When you get hit with a tough question, your brain goes straight into fight or flight.
Right, the panic sets in.
Yeah, and you get this overwhelming urge to fill the dead air with verbal vomit, like nervously rambling about some forgotten email that you fix 5 minutes later anyway. By taking a breath and holding that pause, you fight that urge.
But you short-circuit the panic response. And I guess I'm looking thoughtful, not lost.
Precisely. You give yourself the grace to formulate a real answer. And to the interviewer, a measured, unhurried response projects immense confidence.
That makes a lot of sense. So calming your pace stops that panic talking, which frees up your brain to actually listen, and you turn the interrogation into a collaborative conversation.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where mirroring becomes your secret weapon.
Mirroring, like copying how they sit or cross their arms?
No, not physical posture. It's about echoing their specific terminology and their pain points.
So if they mention they're struggling with like silos and time to market, I shouldn't just say, oh, I have experience with that.
Right. You say, it sounds like breaking down silos to improve time to market is a major priority. And here's why this works. When you mirror their specific jargon, you trigger in-group bias in their brain.
That is wild.
Yeah, you bypass the neurological filter reserved for strangers. The interviewer literally starts processing you as a trusted colleague, throwing some eye contact and nodding, and you're subconsciously already on their team.
That naturally sets up the final stage, I'd imagine. Active listening lets you flip the script with your own highly targeted questions.
Oh, absolutely. The end of the interview isn't just a formality.
Right, so you skip the lazy questions about vacation days, which would just break that illusion. Instead, you ask things like, what do the first 30 days look like for this role? Or, what are the common traits of your most successful past hires?
Yes, you change the paradigm entirely.
Oh, I see. You're literally forcing the interviewer to mentally visualize you sitting at that desk, solving their problems.
Exactly. They go from evaluating a stranger to envisioning a colleague succeeding.
So what does this all mean? Look, you already possess the resume and the skills. That's what got you in the room. But utilizing authentic star storytelling, using those strategic pauses, triggering in-group bias with mirroring, and asking visualization questions.
Right.
Wait, I mean, these strategies, they simply remove the communication barrier standing in your way.
It's all about letting your competence shine through the pressure of the moment.
Totally. Well, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. If an interview is ultimately just a conversation, how might applying these exact same strategies, especially those strategic pauses and active mirroring, completely change the power dynamic of your next salary negotiation?